we uploaded an ISO image, where is it, on the desktop, with ESX 5.5. So I just have the ESX installer, the 5.5 installer here on my desktop, the ISO image. So I'm going to go away here. And I'm going to show you how I install a server. So I have a disk assigned to the server now. Remember, we have our iSCSI session, and that session is still alive. And we can still use it. So now I can say, all right, I want to boot from an ISO here and install my operating system. I do that through the Virtual Media tab. Virtual Media is a way to allow me to map either physical CD drives, floppy drives, or anything, or ISO images. So there is a button here called Add Image, saying I want to map one of my current ISO images on the system to the UCS. I open that up and I click the Mapped button. And now, if I say, yeah, the CD-ROM is not a proper boot device right now. So it is not selecting the CD-ROM being a valid boot media because I did not put that in the boot policy. So let's first change that. As I told last week, when I'm configuring a UCS Fabric Interconnect or a UCS system, and I create a boot policy, I need to make sure that I also am able to install an operating system on it. Meaning, what do I do with that? I need to change my boot policy called iSCSI. I need to add the local CD-ROM drive to the boot policy. And of course, that needs to be the first boot attempt. So that is my boot policy, and it does not require a change of a reboot because it's already rebooting maybe. So let's see where it's booting now. Now it did access the DVD drive. Let's just not use this, but use the Control-Delete. Let me just go and access it via the boot menu that I can access as well. Waiting for the hardware to initialize. We should see the Cisco logo right now. I want to boot from a certain option. Which is my virtual CD-ROM drive. And why is this not updating correctly? There we go. So I want to boot from my virtual CD-DVD drive. And actually what you can see here is that I already am able to boot from an iSCSI disk here. So I'm going around my boot policy right now and just go into the BIOS and forcing my system to boot from a certain thing, known as my virtual CD-DVD drive, which is already mapped, which states here it's mapped, so I can access it. Alright, so let's boot from the CD-DVD drive. And we now should see an ESX installation wizard. There we go. So this is all local network, so no long waits here. This should start loading quite rapidly if I refresh the screen. All right, so how is our installer doing? So the iSCSI image is fully loaded. As you can see, it loaded about 340 megs of data into the server. So now we can start installing our installation. And it will check for available local disks to install that. And here what we see is we have a remote storage system that is of size 550 gigabytes. And this remote storage system doesn't look like the iSCSI disk. Do I still have a session? This looks more like the no, the session is closed. So that's strange. So I do not see the remote disk right now. I used to have the session, so show iSCSI initiator. It's still there. It's still logged in, but the session is down. Yeah, this is just my LSI system. It's not the iSCSI disk. Let's log into the UCS. Come on. Connect to the adapter. Connect again. Attach MCP and say iSCSI get config. Now we did that, and now we can check the session again. No, still nothing. This is strange. I would think I would see the iSCSI disk, mainly because I already saw the iSCSI disk in the BIOS, remember? So that is strange. Let me reset the server. And we're going to talk about some more things regarding the management stuff, and then we'll come back to the server and see if I can now install ESX on that remote storage. Because now what I see is just a local RAID controller here. I'm going to keep the ISO image mapped, but what's strange is that I saw the iSCSI mapping in the BIOS, so it should just work. But the session should not time out. Weird. It's always a good thing to troubleshoot during class. So people see that not everything goes correct or in the same time. I asked the boot to reset, right? Come on. Power cycle it. There we go. So, Blade is rebooting. Let's wait and see what happens with my virtual media. That should stay mapped. Let's check that my KVM is still okay. So let's check that. Let's first check that in the UCS itself. So my iSCSI VNIC, the VNIC is okay. I have an iSCSI boot configured. My boot parameters are as follows. IQN.2013.1130:blade:1. Looking good. I am trying to access the following target, and that is IQN 2013.1130.bootdisk1. So let's first check the server IQN. IQN 2013:blade:1. Looking good. Correct IP address here. How's the booting doing? It's okay. Virtual target. IQN.11 boot disk 1. Mapping to the right disk. Let's check if the disk is still available. Yes, it is. So I still see a disk, which is a Seagate disk. So I should see the word Seagate somewhere. I'm advertising LUN 0, and that's also where I want to install it on. It's still not choosing the CD-ROM drive as a valid place to boot from. That's also not good. My boot order says CD-ROM as first and then iSCSI second, although I did not change anything about that. So it tried to boot and it said it failed, so let's check the session now. We have a session. So we have an initiator, blade 1, with an IP address accessing a certain target. It has active. Zoning is active. All looking fine. Let's just try it again. Connecting KVM. Map my virtual media. Add the ISO. From an iSCSI point, everything looks okay, because again, I see the session, and this session is only shown when there is an actual session. Let's see if we can try to ping the 100.59. Well, we can't now because it's booting. That makes sense. Let's go into the BIOS again. Entering setup. All right. So the system should be booted right now, and as you can see, the boot order is not updated as well. So it seems that the service profile template is not updated as well. But okay, that's not a big issue. The problem is I see that disk here, the iSCSI Seagate disk 0025B5 0004F. That is the MAC address, I think, of the VNIC. Let's ping it right now. I should be able to ping my iSCSI driver now. Still can. See if I can iSCSI ping it. I can. Still works. iSCSI session still exists. So I can boot from the iSCSI disk, and it sees that it is a Seagate disk, so that works. Maybe the iSCSI installer just doesn't want to see an iSCSI session or anything. No, that's not the case. Let's try it one more time. Because we do have an existing session right now. I cannot ping the NIC, but that doesn't mean it doesn't work. Let's check the configuration example. So we have all kinds of connectivity. Add default gateway information. No, that's not going to solve it, because we are running this in the same VLAN, so that's not going to be an issue. And we see the session being activated correctly. So we have end-to-end connectivity. Is VLAN set to native on the trunk port? On which trunk port? Oh, we can check the Palo interface. That might be a good example. So connecting my NXOS. As explained last time, we have all these virtual Ethernet interfaces. Currently it's just one, because we only have one interface going to the blade. And that is allowing VLAN 100, and VLAN 100 is also the native VLAN here. So that matches our idea. So it is a trunk, but we do allow VLAN 100 being native. I'm mapping that to a certain service policy, but that's not going to interrupt anything regarding my traffic. Correct. I can ping, so it should be okay because I tested from the adapter itself. That is totally fine. That's totally correct. I use these troubleshooting commands from the adapter itself, so from the vEthernet itself, and there it works. Just that I cannot ping the address from the MDS, but that can be, so it might not respond to pings, but I can ping the other direction. Session is still alive. It might be the LUN ID. That is the issue. Might be that the disk is running in LUN ID 1. And therefore I do not allow the installation of it. So it might be that my disk is running on LUN 1 while I thought it was running on LUN 0. And that does mean that I will see the disk, but I cannot write to it, so I cannot see it in the installer. So it could be the LUN issue here. So that will not solve my current problem, because I need to set up a new session. So if I check my virtual target configuration, I see that I currently only allow a specific LUN 0. But if I check my iSCSI session detail, it says to me something about a mapped LUN 1. So that is a bit strange. So I think I'm just going to remove the limitation of only running LUN 0 and just allowing the whole PWWN on the virtual target. And that should solve that by using this. So instead of specifying the LUN, I only specify the PWWN. And by doing that, I allow all the LUNs on this disk to be advertised. So now that does require the iSCSI session to be reinitiated. Because now, it looks okay now. Let's see if it already works. It might require another reboot. Well, I'm sure about all the disks actually that they can store data, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Detail. Yeah, I do see some differences here. So let's wait for it to be finished with initialization. This takes a long time. And you usually, if you do not see the window refreshing, hit the refresh button here. That usually helps when you have a thing that you think it is stuck. Just hit view and then refresh. See what's happening. Let's see if we already see some traffic. Oh, now the session dropped again. That's weird. So as soon as the OS initializes, the session drops. Well, of course we can do some debug iSCSI commands. At least that's what I thought I could have. No, there's not so much we can debug about this. I'll debug IPS, maybe. Debug IPS iSCSI. And then I just want to see everything actually. Debug IPS also. IPS are the storage, the IP related features. Or debug iSCSI events, yes. Let's see what happens. If we start the setup wizard, still nothing. Yeah, I'm gonna reboot it again. Or refresh it maybe. No sessions. Right, let's reboot one more time. Let's see what happens with our iSCSI debugs. So this might still be the LUN issue because I just changed the configuration of the virtual target. So depending if that already went through or not in the same session, I highly doubt that. 5, that could definitely be, yes. I only tried this last time with 5.1. And then it worked. So I know for sure that 5.1 will work, but maybe it's a bug in 5.5 that it won't work on the Cisco blades. Oh, we already see some things. So we have a login. Finding the fiber channel port for this initiator, create a session, session target name. Node is allowed to be advertised to this specific interface. I'm querying the name server. I got one, name server response. Setting up the initiator name. Adding to runtime, looking good. So my iSCSI session is active again. I see registered LUN0 map LUN0, so that is good. I see that I received 8 commands and 8 responses. I did not receive any data yet, because that's true, I'm not writing any data yet. All right. Oh. And again, I see my Seagate disk and I see my virtual CD drive. I'm going to select the CD. That should start loading ESX again. So this is the last time we're going to try it. Otherwise, we're going to try it again tomorrow with ESX 5.1 and see what happens then, because I know for sure that it works there. And my configuration looks okay. I see iSCSI traffic. It's just that the iSCSI or the ESX installation doesn't want to see it. So let's see how long it will last right now. Let's check on the blade again. I can check, wait a minute. Not iSCSI, but SCSI. SCSI target, discover. Being patient. There is a feature that I can scan for certain devices on my fiber channel domain. That is the SCSI target discovery feature. But for some reason I'm not seeing anything in my SCSI target list. But that doesn't mean that the device is not good. Might mean that I just need to change the LAN ID from 0 to 1 or anything in my boot policy. Session is still there. Still there. Let's see what's happening now. I still see only 8 commands being loaded. But that's okay because I'm not scanning any disks right now. Come on. So now my SCSI session is gone again. I'm wondering if it will come back. Session destroy for init name. That failure code 3. Why is that? Category 3. Cleaning session. Removing session. Failure code 3. Unlocking state machine. It's not showing a lot of information. Failure code 3. No, still nothing. I want to try just one more thing. I'm going to configure bootLAN number 1 instead of bootLAN number 0. See if that will help. So it's going to be bootLAN 1. That's going to require user acknowledgement. That's okay. Reboot that. Yes, thank you. So I'm going to change the boot LAN ID that I'm going to try to access and see if that helps, that it is maybe LAN 1 instead of LAN 0. So, all right, let's have this one do its job.